You're going to love my suggestion. What's going on?
Everyone, welcome to this special live edition right here on Driving to the Top Productions. This was actually Big D's idea, and I said, fuck it, I'm in. I don't want to wait 2 days to kind of give my taste on one topic, but, I'm Haas. You can find me on my show every Wednesday, at least at 9 p.m. on the go. You can catch me occasionally on Tuesday nights on Open Mic Night on Driving to the Top, but I got the Big D himself, Dylan. Well, what's up, man? This was your idea, so I said, let's do it.
Thank you very much, Halls. And by the way, every time I think of you named Halls, I think of Boss Hogg from the Dukes of Hazzard back in the day.
Oh yeah,
but
he was Hogg, not Hoss.
Boss Hogg.
Yes.
But
got that.
I hear there's some big news going around one of your teams. I'm not sure. My mind might be stuck on Cat 5 Hurricanes, but I heard there was a pretty prominent coach who was fired yesterday about the same time.
Yeah, so the whole state of Louisiana just took a big monkey off their back because Brian Kelly plus Joe Sloan are gone. I had a feeling Joe Sloan was going to be gone because he's the one making them dumb calls. But Brian Kelly, don't surprise me. I had a feeling we had the money to get him gone. His buyout was $58 million. We got it done. And we're going to see where the season goes from then because I know they're going on a bye week, which they needed heavily before they get ready for Alabama. So I wasn't surprised. I think after his second or third year, everyone was already like, I want him gone. And I'm like, give him a chance. I said, give him 3 to 5 years. Well, after he lasted 4 years, and after that A&M loss, I was already furious about the Vandy loss, but I blame that on Joe Sloan. But this A&M loss, I just gave up. I said, fuck it. He's got to go. As soon as I opened my mouth, it's like LSU Jesus heard it and said, okay, let's arrange a meeting. Let's get the governor involved to get him gone. The damn governor was in the meeting too about that. That's how they take LSU football serious in the state. If you got to get the governor to come to your meeting about making changes for the coaching staff.
Well, the governor was involved because LSU doesn't have a president, but that's a story for another day. In my view, Brian Kelly never felt like a great fit. Louisiana. There's something about being the LSU coach. You've got to be a Louisiana man. Ed Orgeron was a Louisiana man.
Not just that. Not really. You have to be like Cam Newton stated on First Take. You have to be on your game if you want to go coach a top tier SEC team like an LSU or an Alabama, a Georgia, or a Florida, for example. You're not just going there to want to win. You gotta win. You have to win if you want to go coach over there. If you don't want to win there, they're going to make sure you don't want to coach another week. They will antagonize you, harass you, threaten you, everything in the book. And that's a prime example. I'm pretty sure Penn State's the same way when they did with James Franklin.
And I feel like James Franklin got a raw deal because Penn State, in many ways, probably feels like it's closer to Ohio State, Michigan, or Oregon, but yet Penn State's not won an national title since '86.
I still think what's funny is the coach with the highest buyout isn't even coaching anymore. He's on Sirius XM. Jimbo Fisher is the highest buyout, but Mike Elko's the head coach at A&M, not Jimbo Fisher.
And now they're
still paying Jimbo now.
And And the funny thing, I think the athletic director who fired Jimbo Fisher also fired Brian Kelly. So what does he do? He gives out like $130 million in buyout money.
I guarantee you, I know they're all saying, oh, that's why the ticket prices are going up because and parking's going up. They got to pay for that buyout. Actually, they probably already had it all paid off by now. You'd be surprised the money LSU can bring when it comes to the Tiger Athletic Foundation, booster members, season ticket holders, the community of Baton Rouge, and every sort of bit. Like LSU can draw $58 million in 24 hours.
I mean, I was surprised Brian Kelly was fired, but after that poor second half where the special teams unit was horrendous, giving up touchdown, and frankly, it looked like LSU quit. And I mean, the fans went home. I think the fans were tired. That I've never seen that many.
Yeah.
I've never seen that many A&M fans at an LSU game. It looked like the team just flat out quit.
Well, I wasn't surprised. I think it was at the start of the fourth quarter when they showed that blimp shot and Tiger Stadium was half full and a lot of the nosebleeds already ran off. I heard they canceled the drone show. They wanted to do a drone show at the end of the third quarter, but when they saw how bad it was, they canceled it. And I think they're postponing it for Arkansas if anybody shows up. They don't give a shit about a drone show. They want to see a goddamn win. That's the thing. And they already got two things checked off the list. They got rid of Brian Kelly. They got rid of Joe Sloan. Next, we got to get rid of that athletic director. Scott Woodward has got to fucking go. He was the one that hired Brian Kelly. And fourth, we got to start the Baltimore native, Michael Van Buren Jr. Garrett Nussmeier is dumpster fire now. At least Michael Van Jr. threw a touchdown pass. I mean, so did Garrett, but with the only 4 passes he thrown, he went 3 for 4 in his passes, and he had 50-yard passing for whatever time he got to play in that game.
Watching LSU play. I mean, Nussmeier looks like he's a quarterback from 20 years ago. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of athleticism, huge arm, but little erratic. But LSU's wide receivers this year aren't the LSU wide receivers we've seen. There's no Jamal Chase or Justin Jefferson. And also LSU replaced 4 linemen, including Will Campbell, top 5 pick. It just looked like the offense was all murky this year in Bayou Country.
Well, I mean, like I said, the first half was a whole different game. I mean, first half wasn't as bad as people think, and that was when the defense was on a roll. Not only they had 2 interceptions, remember they also blocked a punt and forced a safety at one point. If you watch the game, that was also like great about Jace Thomas blocked the punt, and then Harold Perkins Jr. had an interception, and AJ Halsey had an interception. So defense was on fire in the first half, and then they got a rushing touchdown from Harlem Berry, and it was like after that, I mean, it was mainly field goals, but not enough to catch up with that strong A&M team they got. A&M might be it. Like when I mean might be it, that's probably the only team maybe that can take Alabama down if Bama makes it to the SEC championship, because everyone's still relying on Vandy to somehow get there. Vandy is going to get there if Bama loses another game, because A&M, or if A&M loses to Texas, which I don't see that happening. A&M's going to beat the shit out of Arch Manning and the Longhorns when they play.
Heck, Arch Manning might not be Texas' starting quarterback. He's in concussion protocol.
Well, if the Saints already got the number 1 pick locked in after last night's blowout, we don't want him. He needs to stay in school.
Hey, you could think the Jets were beating the Bengals yesterday. The last time the Jets could have gotten a number 1 pick, they ended up.
Hey, if you watched my stream last week, I got the evidence and the proof. I said the Jets were gonna beat the Bengals, and look what happened, folks. 1 point. I didn't care if it was 1 point. I said the Jets were going to upset Cincinnati, and they did just that. I'm going to tally them numbers up after tonight's ass whooping. I should just tell you now. You know the Chiefs are going to beat the Commanders, so I'm going to go ahead.
By the way, Kareem Hunt just scored a touchdown, so the Chiefs are up 7-0 anyway.
Oh, yeah,
why does Kareem Hunt get all the freaking touchdowns? Let Isaiah Pacheco get a touchdown, please.
Look, I don't want to get started on my fantasy team because if he was here right now, maybe he can give me the answer. I was on the verge of beating my brother-in-law last week because Jackson Dart was my quarterback and he gave me over 50 points. All I had left to play was 3 players, and they were all 3 from the Lions. You saw that score, right? They beat the shit out of Tampa Bay last week. One of them was Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams, their kicker.
You mean Jameson Williams?
Whatever. Jameson Williams, their kicker, and another player. Kicker only got me 2 points. Williams gave me 0 points, and the other player gave me like 4 points. And I got beat by my brother-in-law because of them 3. I dropped all 3 out my fantasy. I was so pissed off, and now I'm dead last in the Griswold lead because of that.
Well, good news. I'm winning this week, and actually, I was worried about this week because JSN's on a bye and Nico Collins is in concussion protocol. But luckily, all my guys played well yesterday, and I don't know. Yesterday was National Tight End Day, and I remember number 85 having a big day, but it wasn't the one against your Texans.
Yeah, I was shocked. I couldn't believe they played so good. It's like the whole state of Louisiana pissed me off this past weekend, but the city of Houston satisfied me because not only did the Cougars win, the Texans beat the shit out of the 49ers.
That was the easiest bet of the week, Texans against the Niners. San Francisco was due a letdown with how many guys were hurt.
I don't know what I was more shocked about. That or the Ravens upsetting the Bears.
No.
With Lamar Jackson out.
Apparently, Caleb Williams is worse than we thought.
Well, I thought they had it locked in, and I was trying to win some money, and obviously that failed.
I've got a question for you, Hoss. I mean, we know how much you love LSU football, but did Brian Kelly feel like an outsider? I mean, of course, Brian Kelly won everywhere, Cincinnati, Notre Dame. But did Brian Kelly take the money from LSU? Because from what I'm reading, it seemed like Brian Kelly didn't really want to coach, but ended up taking the money from LSU because LSU needed a coach after Ed Orgeron left after the 21 season.
It could be. I mean, I relied on him. Like, I gave him a chance. Like, because I knew how successful he was at Notre Dame. I was like, well, yeah, he didn't win a natty for him. He did take him to the playoffs and whatnot. He had a lot of successful seasons with him. I gave him a shot. I thought he was a good coach, but obviously he ain't good enough in the SEC. Despite, he was 31-14 with LSU. That's mediocre. But now your first year, you hit the only thing he brought us back was a Heisman Trophy. He should have brought more back. Yeah. His first year, none of us expected him to beat Alabama his first year. And no one expected to bring him to an SEC championship. But he did, even though they did not beat Kirby in Georgia. No one was beating that Georgia team. That was probably the best Georgia team they had in their franchise history was in 2022. The year they beat Alabama for the Nat. Or no, the year after they beat Bama. This was the year they decimated TCU. But might have been the year Jayden Daniels won the Heisman. They should have been a playoff contender, and they only wasn't because they had the worst fucking defense in the SEC. How you had the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense that year. Like, if that defense would have did their fucking job, I guarantee you LSU would have been a playoff contender in 2023-24.
Yeah, in many ways, that 23 LSU offense reminded me of 2019 with Burrow, Chase, Jefferson. Who was the running back with the
Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
Yeah, CEH, Moss.
Thaddeus Moss was on that team. Derek Stingley Jr. was on that team.
As a freshman, no less. I think Patrick Queen
Marsh.
was
Yeah, Patrick Queen was in the NFL. Marshall was on the team too. They had a stack. Fiocco was on the team. Like they had a stack lineup on both offense and defense. Oh, and if so in my picks for college, I went 19-3. That was the best I've ever done in the last year and a half. I went 19-3 in college. The NFL, if the Chiefs win, then I went 10-3 in the NFL.
Let me see if I could guess. If I could guess the three teams you did not guess correct, you did not pick correctly. How many of them were SEC teams?
Wait, you want to start on college first? Okay, so
yes.
Okay, so I will tell you this: the three losses did not have to do with the SEC. Two of those three were Big 12, and one was Sun Belt.
Was one of let me see. Was one of them BYU?
No, I picked BYU. And thanks to BYU, Vanderbilt, and Indiana covering, I won a parlay. Because I took Indiana with the points. They gave Indiana minus 26, and I took that, and they beat them by 50-something.
I'm not sure UCLA scored.
They kicked a field goal.
Well,
they won 61-3 or 63-3, something like that. They beat the shit out. Their first score was a pick six early in the first quarter. Indiana's first touchdown was a pick six. When I saw that, I said, "Oh, I'm winning this one for sure." But no. Now I didn't pick every single game. I only picked primetime games, but keep on guessing.
I mean, am I in the right area of the country, or do I have to get?
Well, I can tell you. Well,
okay.
I know one matchup was in the East Coast, another match was in the Midwest, you could say, and then the other one, the other one was in the East Coast, but it featured a Texas team versus a North Carolina team. And they're in the same conference together, shockingly.
Texas team against the North Carolina. Wait a minute, but that wouldn't be. Would it be like North Texas?
No, not North Texas. They're the only Texas team in the ACC.
Oh, Southern Methodist University. I think SMU lost over the weekend, if my memory serves me right.
Yep. I picked SMU and they lost to Wake Forest. That was my first loss.
Yeah, SMU couldn't wait for Miami.
Yeah. Well, that was my first loss. My second loss was an in-state rivalry that took a swerve. Their rivalry is a prime example of records don't matter, basically.
Would that be Kansas and Kansas State?
Yep, I took the Jayhawks, and now they've lost 17 straight against K-State.
But Kansas wins in basketball, though.
Yeah, I said they should drop their football program and stick with basketball.
A little like Kentucky, maybe.
Well, at least Kentucky can beat Louisville, but when they play this year, I think Louisville's going to beat the shit out of them because Kentucky's the new Vanderbilt. Now that Vanderbilt's irrelevant, Kentucky is the worst team in the SEC. If Mississippi State would play Kentucky, Mississippi State would beat the hell out of them. But no, the last game I lost was I picked Appalachian State over Old Dominion, and ODU beat App State. I don't I don't even remember their mascot. What are they, the Monarchs or some shit?
Actually, true story. I met the App State player who blocked the field goal at the end of the Michigan game 18 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yes, I met him.
Hell yeah. I still never forget that. That was a week 1 game, too, and Michigan was 5.
Yeah.
That was my senior year in high school. We were like, holy shit, that actually happened. App State beat the Michigan Wolverines. The only people who were really happy about that were Ohio State fans.
And then Ohio State, and then you know what happened that year. Ohio State lost to LSU in the Dome.
Yep, LSU won their second BCS title in the BCS era, and that was That was the year Les Miles brought them to the Natty.
So I mean,
that was when they had like Matt Flynn at quarterback, Jacob Hester at running back.
Oh gosh, don't remind me. Jacob Hester getting like 5 fourth downs against Florida that year. Growing up a Gator fan, that game made me cry.
Well, I've seen Tim Tebow play twice against LSU. That same year, the year he won the Heisman, we saw him play Michigan in the Capital One Bowl because my sister got an All-American in cheerleading and got to dance with thousands of other girls from around the country. So we went to that game. I was rooting for Florida because of the SEC and Tim Tebow, and
that was Lloyd Cole's last game at Michigan.
And I should have picked Michigan because we ran into the Michigan football team at Universal Studios and hung out with them, and I became their favorite person because when I first saw them, I hollered, "Fuck Ohio State," and they loved it. But I didn't tell them I was picking Florida. I said I just kept telling them good luck in the game, but I didn't tell them I was picking Florida because I was They knew we were LSU fans, but we were like, we don't like Florida. But I was like, I'm gonna pick them because it's Tim Tebow. And then I've seen Tim Tebow twice in SEC Nation when they came to LSU.
I met Tim Tebow once.
Yeah, he's a very down-to-earth guy. I know. He's a very generous guy. I've met him. I've met Dumbo Ears. I've met Marcus Spears. I met half of the SEC Nation crew. Yeah, I met Dumbo Ears. I met Paul Feinbaum.
I'm guessing he had a field day on his show from Baton Rouge. Hello, who do you want to coach LSU? By the way, I don't know. To me, I mean, did Brian Kelly feel like the right personality at LSU?
The first year I said yes, but then I think after his third year, I was like, no. That was my opinion. What you think?
It's hard. I mean, I think Brian is one of the best coaches in college football, but his personality never fit LSU. The fake Louisiana accent thing probably didn't win him any fans. Plus, LSU is a place where you are not only expected to win, you better win, you have to win, you must win, otherwise your bleep is gone. I mean, Nick Saban might have been an outsider, but you know what? That guy won.
Yeah. The biggest shock had to have been Coach O. Like when Coach O came, we didn't the year they went to the Natty, we didn't expect that. That was just like, holy crap.
I felt like one of those magical years. I mean, I remember when LSU went into Alabama and Burrow beat 2, and I'm like, LSU's going to win the whole thing. And then Burrow beat Georgia and the SC title. Well, stomp Kirby Smart SC title game. I'm like, nobody's gonna. I'm not sure anybody could beat these guys.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about Coach O. It's like when he got named he was at LSU when Les Miles was gone. He was the I think he was the offensive coordinator. No, he was a D-line coach. He was the D-line coach, and when Les Miles left, he became interim coach. He was interim coach for the rest of 2020, for the rest of 2015, and then their bowl game in 2016. Then they ended up giving him the coaching job. At first, people thought that was crazy, but anytime he lost, we were not like, this guy got to go. He ain't the right guy. So he brought something like, this guy's a real Louisiana guy. You hear it in his voice. He don't have a fake accent. He grew up an LSU fan. He knows the traditions. He knows the love. And he was one of the most passionate coaches we ever had. Like at the end of every press conference or every interview, he ended it with a "Go Tigers." So anytime he lost, we always like gave him like that pat on the back, like, it's okay, we'll get him next time, coach. We never really did that. I mean, we did that with Nick Saban too. Nick Saban was just a coaching god. Les Miles, it was after 2012 we started noticing like Les Miles needs to do something or he got to go. But I think it was after COVID when we realized, okay, Coach O got to do something or he's got to go too. But we lost everybody after that Natty season. We literally lost everybody. The only one we got back was Stingley because he was only going in his sophomore year. Like all them other big stars got drafted. And
LSU's 2020 season could not have been freakier with COVID, losing all those guys, not figuring out whether or not games would be played. I mean that would have been a tough situation for anyone.
Yeah, and the first game of the season was a prime example because I was there for it. With a mask on and shit. I was there for that championship celebration with a half full, not even a half full, about a quarter full. I think that stadium could seat 102,000 people. There was probably 20,000 there. Only 20,000 were allowed, and they had rows blocked off, seats blocked off. Like if four of y'all were in a row together, I might be sitting in seat 1, the next person sitting in seat 5, the next person sitting in seat 9. Like things were fucking serious down there. And they lost the game, and that what pissed. I said, I don't know if I'm more pissed at them losing to Mississippi State after a championship win or losing to Mississippi State when Dak Prescott was playing quarterback. And I was there for that damn Mississippi State loss. That was 2014. So the only 2 times I've ever seen them lose to the shitty Bulldogs of the SEC.
And then we don't know what happened. But big question, Hoss. What happens to LSU now? Because changes are coming. We've already seen the head coach and corner. By the way, is it strange that that we're not even Halloween and Penn State, Florida, LSU, UCLA, Virginia Tech,
Arkansas,
UCLA, Virginia Tech, Florida, LSU, and Penn State have 5 coaches.
There's a couple more. I think I still got the photo. I'm trying to find it. Did you say Stanford too?
I didn't say
Stanford fired their coach too. So far, there's about 12 coaches. I heard Stanford's coach got fired.
Maybe that was last year. But
wait,
I don't know.
Okay, I got it right here. This is in no order, but like Sam Pittman from Arkansas, that's one. Okay. James Franklin from Penn State, Mike Gundy from Oklahoma State. That's the one that shocked me too. Trent Bray from Oregon State. Troy Taylor from Stanford, but he got fired during the offseason. Brent Pry from Virginia Tech. Trent Dilfer from UAB. Deshaun Foster from UCLA. Billy Napier from Florida. And Brian Kelly from LSU. Who else are we missing? I'm pretty sure Dabo will be next on the list.
I don't think Clemson's not firing Dabo.
Well, I got two guys on the list. If not him, what about Hugh Freeze from Auburn?
Let me tell you. Well, if Auburn keeps getting hosed like they did against Georgia, that's. I mean, I don't know about you. There were some strange calls in that game. I don't think I've seen a game with that shady or fishy all year.
All right, I got three. Here's my top three that might be fired next. So, Dabo, Hugh Freeze, or Prime.
I've got a couple in mind. One Big Ten, one ACC. I think Mike Norvell and the Seminoles I think Mike Norvell's in trouble and the Seminoles don't get their you-know-what together. And it's not a question of if, but I think the Wisconsin coach, I don't know his name off the top of my head. Who was the Wisconsin coach? I think Luke Fickell's in trouble.
Yeah, he could be. Now, give me your top three best coaches right now, but one of them has to be a non-Power 5 coach.
Nick Saban.
Nick Saban ain't there no more. I'm talking about current coaches.
Okay. I'm kidding. I thought you meant available coaches. Sorry, that's
well. I'm gonna tell you what I tell people all the time. If you don't listen to College Game Day every week or watch it, Nick Saban is not gonna coach ever again as long as NIL is taking over college football.
I've got a friend who did it, who was part of the SEC on CBS crew, and he said Nick Saban's done.
Yeah, that's why he left. If I guarantee you, if NIL wouldn't be taken over, I bet you he'd still be at Alabama right now.
But I will ask you a good question. Top three college football coaches now. Number one, I think you would, even though he's probably not my favorite coach, but his teams always win, and I don't think there's a better adjusting head coach in terms of second half adjustments. And, Kirby Smart's number one, and I don't think it's even close.
Absolutely. Yes, Kirby Smart is my number one. I think after Saban left, he is now the best coach in college football right now. If Saban were still coaching, he'd be second best. But I got Kirby number one.
Number two, until last year, this guy was known as the guy who could have great offense but never win the big game. But this year, I think Ryan Day and Ohio State are putting it on anybody. Ohio State's defense better than last year.
So you're putting Pierce Nipple at number two.
I'm putting Ryan Day number two.
Number two, I'm putting the guy LSU wants more than anybody else. I'm putting Lane
Kiffin. You put in the offensive guy, number two.
I got Lane Kiffin too. Now, non-Power 5 coach as the third best. I'll do this one first. I'm going with a guy I think should take over LSU. He'd be a good fit. And this team is currently the best college team in Louisiana right now. I'm going with John Summerall from Tulane.
Let me see. You said non-Power 5, correct? Let me see.
Yeah, that could be non-Power 5 is Conference USA, American Conference, Mountain West.
I got one for you. For you, and he's from just up the road from me. How about Alex Golech at South Florida?
Hey, South Florida was on a roll lately until they lost to Memphis
Maybe South Florida was walking in Memphis too much. I mean, but then again,
on Bill's
people do that.
party too much on. They party too much on Beale Street.
Of course, they do that on Mardi Gras. They do that on Bourbon Street too. Come around New Year's Eve.
Well, give me your. I'm gonna let you take this one next. So let's go ahead and jump ship and let's talk about these hurricanes you want to talk about.
Well, I'm going to ask you. We're going to do that in a minute, but I've got two more questions for you. One,
all right.
Who do you want LSU's next coach to be? Because with the three big schools, Penn State, Florida, and LSU looking for coaches, what candidates do you think those teams are looking for right now?
Well, they're looking for somebody that demands to win all day, every day, which everybody wants Lane Kiffin, but I thought Lane Kiffin signed an extension at Ole Miss, but everybody's saying, oh, that don't mean shit. So I said John Summerall from Tulane, like he's doing so great at Tulane. Their only loss was Ole Miss. He beat 2 Power 5 teams this season. This might be the second best Tulane team I've seen since they beat Caleb Williams in the Cotton Bowl. But I'm going to say John Summerall, but if we don't get him, then I'll jump on the wagon and say, let's get Lane Kiffin.
Am I crazy for saying this? But what if LSU got James Franklin?
They know better. They're not going to get nobody. They're not going to get him. If they get anybody dumb, they'll probably get Billy Napier.
Just straight coaches with Florida.
Billy Napier should have stayed at UL. I don't know why he left to go make money. You want to talk about a coach that joined an SEC team to make money? That was Billy Napier. And you know he was making damn good money. He led the Raging Cajuns to 3 straight Sun Belt championships and brought them to bowl wins. But he wanted to go try and make that mega money in Gainesville and couldn't do shit. I don't know. Y'all, they lost to fucking. They had an embarrassing loss in the friggin' Camellia Bowl or something. I remember I think it was UCF. They lost to like somebody in the Camellia Bowl. They lost to a low Florida team. I think it was UCF.
I don't know, but then again, until this year, LSU couldn't win season opening games.
Well, they did win this one. See, that was another thing LSU had trouble doing after winning the Natty. Was winning week 1, and Brian Kelly, before he got fired, he finally did it. He beat Clemson. I think if they had lost to Clemson, he probably would have got fired by week 2.
Maybe if he had lost to Florida.
Possibly, yeah. But that was probably the best game they won with him. There was Florida. I mean, that quarterback had 5. DJ Lagway had 5 turnovers in that game.
That was an ugly game.
That was my nephew's first ever LSU game, and he got to see them beat a rival and see great shit like 5 turnovers, but from the LSU defense. So, I mean, the best LSU game I've ever been to is the win over Alabama in overtime, Brian Kelly's first year. The same night the Astros won the World Series.
When Mason Taylor got the 2-point conversion.
I was at that game, by the way.
I'll tell you what, I don't know what it is, but my ears would hurt going to Death Valley at night.
Hold on. I'm going to turn my camera off for a sec. I'm going to go grab something right there real quick. Hold on a second.
Do, 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 do. By the way, it's 7-7 at halftime at Arrowhead, Commanders, Chiefs, and Blue Jays beating the Dodgers 4-2. Let me see what happened. Kirk,
I still got the ticket right here.
You do?
Yep, I still got both of them. November 5th, 2022, the same night the Astros won the World Series. against Alabama. The tickets, if I were to sold them on the street, they were for $150 a piece. And I was in section 216, row 21, seat 6, right next to the band.
Yeah, that was the game that Jane Daniels arrived as LSU's starting quarterback.
And let me tell you, best game. I mean, I've been to a lot of great moments. That was the third time I've rushed a field, but that was the greatest game I've ever been to in my life. Best game I've ever been to in my life. Best day of my life. Them beating Alabama, knocking them out of the 14 playoff picture, plus 15 minutes later, the Astros winning their second World Series against the Phillies. Greatest night of my life.
Were you drinking champagne or beer that night?
I drank beer at Buffalo Wild Wings before the game. I drank like 2 beers because I didn't want to get drunk because I had to drive home. So I caught a small buzz during pregame. And then all the walking I've done and cheering and hollering at the refs, I've completely sobered up. By halftime, I sobered up. But it was a cold night too, so like I drank like one. They don't sell Dr. Pepper; they sell Pibb. So I drank 2 Pibbs in a bottle of water for the game in a souvenir cup, like a big ass souvenir cup. I drank a Pibb in a souvenir cup that had a sticker that said 1 free refill, and I drank my free refill after that.
Yeah, nothing better than Mr. Pibb. That was my drink as a kid.
Well, I'm a Dr. Pepper guy.
Well,
Pibb's the goofy cousin. So if they don't have Dr. Pepper and they have Pibb, I'm gonna drink the shit out of Pibb. The same.
I've got a question. Be honest. I want you to be completely objective here. How many jobs would you rank in front of LSU right now?
How many jobs?
College football head coaching jobs are better than LSU.
Oh fuck, that's tough. It's one of the toughest. I could say that.
No, I mean in terms of top jobs, because to me LSU's a really, really good job. A lot of pressure, a lot of expectations.
Well, if I had to put, I'd put it in the top 3 with the head coaching job for baseball and probably the athletic director too.
College football. I'm going to rephrase the question. How many college football head coaching jobs are better than LSU?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. To be honest, that's what I think.
I don't know. Ohio State, maybe?
I'll say Ohio State, Georgia,
Texas.
You could throw A&M in that one too. And then 5, I would say I got to go with like a very elite program. 5, I'd probably say like, did I say Alabama already too?
No.
Throw Alabama on there. And why do I feel like in the state of Florida, the hardest one would be Miami?
What about USC?
For the state of California, I'd say USC on the top list, but maybe in the top 10, maybe like late in the top 10. If you're going to talk about very elite programs, you might throw in Oklahoma. You could throw in Penn State. You can throw in Notre Dame. Notre Dame might be up there too. It's hard to fucking get into Notre Dame. Imagine the coaching job.
I'll tell you, I don't think there's a harder coaching job than Notre Dame, because guess what? Jamar Chase is not going to Notre Dame. Jeremiah Smith's not going to Notre Dame.
You mean Jeremiah Love? You mean
Jeremiah Smith? Jeremiah Love's there, and he's really good, but Jeremiah Smith's not walking through that Holyfield. Although I think Notre Dame's got a whale of a coach.
Yeah. Someone said we should take someone says we should do what we did with Brian Kelly and take another head coach from Notre Dame. I said Marcus Freeman, they ain't gonna let us have Marcus Freeman. When he starts losing, then they'll offer him to us.
I don't think Marcus Freeman's leaving South Bend if Notre Dame pays him what he deserves. Marcus Freeman's not going to Penn State. I think Penn State's a down job from Notre Dame. He might go to the NFL, but that's it for team. Maybe, but I don't think he would do that. I think Marcus Freeman could be the Lou Holtz at Notre Dame for the next 15 years if he won. He just fits the program. Kirby fits Georgia. Guys fit 7 schools.
Yeah.
I've got one for you. I don't think it will happen, but what if LSU came to Jimmy Sexton, Nick Saban's agent, and said, what would Nick come back if we gave him $25 million?
Oh, you'd have to give him way more than that. Like, it would take a lot if we'd have got it by some miracle, got him back. But I don't. There's no. If NIL wasn't a thing, maybe there was a chance. But
you imagine Nick Saban, Kalen DeBoer, and Kirby Smart in the same conference?
That'd be crazy.
And the problem is LSU and Alabama don't play every year now, but that's a story for another year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. Who do you guys play for the next 3 years? I think Arkansas is one of them, right?
Well, yeah, Arkansas, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss are the main 3 SEC opponents.
I'm surprised Florida's not one of them.
No, but they're going to go by the 2 of them 3 rivalries they play for a trophy, and the other one is just Louisiana, Texas thing.
Yeah, LSU, Arkansas. So I don't know what it is.
They gotta close out. They gotta close out rivalry week with somebody. I mean, somebody they actually can with. You can't close out with Ole Miss because they have the Egg Bowl, and you can't close out with A&M because they brought back the Lone Star Showdown. The only option is Arkansas.
And the problem is Arkansas always ends with Missouri.
They only started it with Missouri because we ended with Texas A&M. When they killed the Lone Star rivalry, when A&M joined the SEC, that rivalry was dead. So they needed somebody to close out with, and they were like, "Oh well, Missouri's in the SEC. Arkansas, Missouri's a rivalry. Let them close out with that stupid battle line trophy shit they got." But I'm glad I'd rather close out with Arkansas. They have had a rich history closing out every year. They would always play on Black Friday at 1:00 in the afternoon, whether if it's in Baton Rouge or in Fayetteville. Now we might be on the cusp of bringing this back on Black Friday. Now that they're going to be one of the 3 annual opponents, that's your only option to close out the season with. You might as well do it all over again. Now Now here's the only good news. After 2026, they're not going to play Alabama again until 2029.
When you guys play Georgia.
So this is actually, hold on. They're doing this thing where whoever they play in 2026, they're going to close out. They're going to play all them teams again in 2028, but they're going to rotate. Like every other year, whoever you play one year, every other year you're going to play them the opposite. So 2026 and 2028, they're going to host Alabama, host Mississippi State, host Texas, go to Auburn, go to Kentucky, and go to Tennessee. But in 2028, it's opposite. They'll host Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee, and go to Alabama, Mississippi State, and Texas. And then 2027 and 2029, they're going to host Missouri, Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma, and go to Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. But in 2029, they're going to host Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and go to Missouri, Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt. You get the drift now?
Yeah.
Whoever's on your schedule, you're going to play them every other year. That's how they're doing it. But A&M, Arkansas, and Ole Miss is every single year.
All right. I mean, interesting.
Florida was a fun rivalry. Florida was a fun rivalry when you want to consider your annual East opponent, because every team had their annual opponent from the opposite conference. That was LSU's annual opponent from the East was Florida. I know A&M's annual East opponent was South Carolina. Mississippi State's, I think, was Vanderbilt. Alabama's is Tennessee.
Auburn, Georgia.
Auburn's was Georgia. Ole Miss's was Kentucky. And Arkansas was Missouri's. This was before we got Texas and Oklahoma in the picture. Like that's how that was from 2012 till.
I think you would agree with me, having USC and Rutgers in the same conference just bewilders the mind.
Or Oregon and Penn State, or Washington, Penn State, or Maryland going west to UCLA. Like, that's the same thing with Cal and Stanford come and play in Miami or freaking Syracuse.
Did you see Stanford and Miami? Did you see Stanford and Miami play the other night?
Yeah, I watched some of it, but when the fuck did Louisville and Miami become a rivalry? Now they're considered a rivalry, and Miami can't even beat them. They lost like 4 straight to Louisville.
I don't think Miami and Louisville. Yeah, Louisville's biggest rival is Kentucky, and Miami's biggest rival is the school in Tallahassee, or maybe the school in Gainesville.
I heard it. Yeah, but yeah, Louisville's now one of their rivals, and that it just don't sound right. But they tried to say LSU, Mississippi State were rivals. They were not. LSU's only rival in Mississippi was Ole Miss.
I don't make the schedule, but that's just me.
LSU had too many fucking rivals, to be honest with you. They have Ole Miss, Arkansas, A&M, Alabama, Florida. Auburn was a rival at one point, then they killed that. Their only in-state rival was Tulane. Now, back in the day when Tulane was in the SEC, they'd close out with Tulane. Before Arkansas, they'd close out with Tulane. But Tulane ain't that good enough to compete in the SEC again. They need to stay where they're at.
All right, now we can get back to the second part. We talked Brian Kelly. By the way, our thoughts and prayers with everybody getting ready or potentially getting ready to be affected by Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica. We're with you, and we wish you all the best.
Category 5 I've saw lately.
But go ahead and ask me the question.
Oh, yeah. So, shit, where's it at? Okay. Give me your time with hurricanes.
Ooh, I could go on all night. Do you want me to go for 5 minutes or 5 hours?
Do 5 minutes, because
okay. Hurricane. I was 6 weeks old when Hurricane Andrew hit Florida. Now, luckily, when it came to my side of the state, it wasn't a Cat 5 monster like it was in Dade County. But we didn't evacuate partially because my brother and sister were in Orlando. By the time they got back, Mom didn't want to be on the road with a 6-week-old newborn in some unfamiliar location because, unlike today, Lee County wasn't as developed as Lee and Collier counties weren't as developed as they are today. And the last place you want to be is a shelter with an infant like me.
Mm-hmm.
So, we ended up staying. Thankfully, Andrew wasn't near as bad as it was in Homestead, Florida City. But 2004, Florida was hit by 4 hurricanes. Charlie hit up, just up the road from me in Punta Gorda. Francis and Gene hit the East Coast, and Ivan hit Gulf Shores in Pensacola. And then, of course, in '05, with Dennis hitting Pensacola, Katrina hitting Florida, and then hitting your neck of the woods. And, of course, Wilma hitting just down the road 20 years ago last week. And then 2017 with Irma, when I lived on the other coast, thinking I had escaped Irma. Well, not exactly. In fact, my mom and I were this close to hop in the car and go into the other coast for Irma when we would have ended up at my sister-in-law's condo, which used impact-resistant windows. Thankfully, we didn't leave, and we lost power for 27 hours, but it wasn't that bad. And then Ian was the worst storm that I've frankly I've ever seen. Not bad here. I mean, 90-mile-an-hour gusts, nothing like what we had in Fort Myers Beach, where they were whole buildings swept into the Gulf. But it was Hurricane Ian was darn near, if not the worst case scenario for Southwest Florida. Having a Cat 4 hurricane go right into our area, where all that water would come from the Gulf and just submerge everything. It didn't matter you were in Bonita, Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, everybody got water. Thankfully, we're way inland, way away from the interstate. But I've never seen a storm in my. I can't believe there was a darn near Category 5 hurricane in my backyard, basically. In fact, the day that Hurricane Ian hit, I slept like 15 minutes. And I think it was like 5 or 6 in the morning. Hurricane Ian went from 120 to 159, and then I got the holy you know what feeling. I'm like,
damn,
this isn't really happening, right? Well, you know what?
I mean,
it is happening.
Wow.
And I mean, I know hurricanes. I met the guy who helped get Miami through the hurricane. Everybody thinks of me as a sports geek, but I'm a hurricane geek. I can tell you about all the hurricanes. I know what causes the most damage, takes the most lives in a storm. I know what areas are more vulnerable. I know why storms tend to hit certain areas and avoid certain areas. And I honestly I think it'd be better than most meteorologists around town. That's just me. And an interesting story, my brother actually wrote out Hurricane Wilma on his 17th and 18th floor of his apartment. And he actually, true story, he held a window with a mattress to keep it from blowing in. Looking back on it, I'm like, I wish he had just gone to the ground floor, but I don't think he cared.
Damn.
And I don't know what it is, but Florida went over a decade without storms, and seemingly we get hit. I mean, knock on wood, well, okay this year, but been hit way too many times, and you can attest to that yourself. I mean, I know you have a few hurricane adventures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a few.
I don't know if they're quite as exciting as me.
Well, which one you want to hear first?
How many do you have?
That I can recall, the only hurricanes I can recall that we've had that hit us. So I don't remember what hurricane it was. Supposedly there was a hurricane that hit where I live back around 92, 93. Whichever one it was, I think it was a 3 or something where people evacuated. We stayed around.
That would have been Hurricane Andrew, which would have gone into Berwick and Morgan City.
I think it was, yeah, whichever one. It was like 92, or I think it was in 92. I was little. I don't remember. The first hurricane I remember really well that where we eventually evacuated, but we didn't evacuate far, was Lily in 2002.
Oh boy.
That was and I think that was only a 3. It wasn't a 5, but it was strong enough where in our hometown, our world famous oak tree got destroyed. It snapped the tree in half. And for the last 20 plus years, we were growing a new tree in downtown. It's not as high as it used to be, but it's catching up. But now, before you say anything, we all know what happened 20 years ago down here. We had no effects with Katrina. But we had effects of another hurricane that wasn't far from Katrina. We had Rita. My side of the state got hit by Hurricane Rita. That was also a Category 5 storm.
Wait, is this the house that you live in today? Or because you're like,
this is not.
Okay.
No, this ain't the house I grew up in.
Where were you doing Rita?
We evacuated for Rita. So crazy story was, like I said, you said you got a homeboy that lives in Houma. I have some family that live around Houma, but they live in a town called Chauvin. You ever heard of that town? It's a town right next to Houma. It's a town that's connected right next to Houma. So when Katrina hit, it was a family of 4. They had 2 kids. The oldest daughter was my age, same age as me. So we were 16 when the hurricane hit. And the youngest son, the kid was a son. I think he was like 7 when the hurricane hit. This was back in 2005. So when Katrina hit, they came stayed with us. And they stayed with us about a week because they didn't know how bad they got it compared to what New Orleans had and whatnot. So they stayed about a week and a half with us, and then they went home. Turns out they were safe. They didn't have no severe damage. They had minor damage. And when they saw Rita, we were getting Rita, they returned the favor and said, y'all come stay with us. Because y'all offered for us to stay with y'all. We're going to do the same for y'all. So we stayed with her. We stayed with them at least maybe 4 days. Because I think the hurricane, Rita hit, I think, on a Wednesday. Rita hit, I think, on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And we left. We had school one day that week. After that Monday, we evacuated the Tuesday. Well, no, if we evacuated Tuesday, then it hit Wednesday. We somehow got out. We left early Tuesday morning. We made it to Chauvin. I think the hurricane made landfall by Wednesday or Thursday. It made landfall. I think it made landfall on Wednesday. I think we headed back that Saturday or Sunday. We headed back. Saturday or Sunday, we headed back. I think it was a Saturday. Because when we got back, the whole town had no electricity. We had no electricity for a whole week, and we had to run off a generator. And we were staying in a camper right next to my aunt's house, who still had power. Not full power, but she still had running water where we could take a shower at her house, but she had no power. We had to light candles in the bathroom and shit. Or if we needed a shower, we did it before moonlight. But or if we had to have electricity, we'd hook one of them generators up to her house. And I guarantee you, I went a whole 7 days with living off a generator. Every day we traveled at least 20 to 40 miles to either get gasoline or get any type of groceries like bread and water and ham and anything you can make by hand, like where you can't use a stove to cook, until the National Guard came with MREs, and that's when I got hooked on MREs.
I've got a question. How bad was your house after Rita?
Shockingly, we lost a shitload of shingles. I think maybe one window busted. We had two massive oak trees in our yard. One of them collapsed and blocked the street. So on one side of the road from my house, you couldn't cross. And somewhere inside there was a little gap where it made some type of small hole where you could see the coating of the roof, but if it rained, it was going to leak in that spot. So, I mean, there was like some minor damage to the ceiling of our house, but once we got power back, we were able to go back in our house. I mean, we just covered that one window with like cardboard or pick something until we got the insurance fixed that window, and then they reshingled the house. I mean, it was still livable to live in when we got our power back. But I remember I didn't have school for 2 weeks. And after the first week, when we had electricity again, I was playing high school football. They were like, oh, if y'all able to make it, it's not mandatory, but y'all can come in the school. The school had electricity again. Y'all can come to the school and do some lifting or do some strength and conditioning type of practice or whatnot. Until we were able to play a game again later that week. And I showed up every day just to get away, because it was already miserable being out there with nothing to do. Couldn't play video games for a while. Couldn't do this or that. So, and I had a vehicle to drive. I was 16, and I was like, I'm going to the school to get a workout in to kind of take it off my mind for an hour, like how we're living, because I couldn't imagine. I thought about everybody in New Orleans, or I thought everybody in the past that has ever lost anything. Like, this is what y'all dealt with for a long time. Like, I can't even handle that shit a week, man.
I'll tell you what, the tension in a major hurricane is second to nothing. I mean, thinking back to Ian, I'm telling you, I think that aged me about 30 years. Okay, maybe not that much, but still. There's nothing harder, and there's potentially not a harder decision in whether or not to evacuate, because we know it's not cheap to evacuate. You're spending 6 to 8 hours on the road, if not more, and there's the unknown. What's going to happen? Is a tree going to fall on my house? Will a window break? Or maybe not in your neck of the woods, but in New Orleans, will some looter steal half my house?
Of all the hurricanes I've dealt with, I think I can tell you for sure I've evacuated for 5. Any other ones, we've sat around, or if they happen in our state and we just got minor, like when Katrina hit, I think we got slight rain, but wasn't nothing severe. But like whenever they had Ida in 2021, we just had rain. We had no super effect. But I think the last serious hurricane we dealt with was 2 that same year, Hurricane Laura and Delta 5 years ago.
How bad were those storms? Because Laura hit Cameron and Lake Charles.
Laura was the worst. Laura was a 5 when it got to the Gulf. And then by the time it made landfall, it dropped to a 4 at landfall. Lake Charles was completely decimated. I was lucky enough. I was living in a trailer during that time. See, that was probably the second hardest hurricane I've dealt with outside of Rita. Because when Laura hit, I lived in a trailer park, and I heard a lot of trailers in that trailer park were destroyed, and we were freaking out. Like, did I lose everything? Sure enough, when I got back, we were one of the lucky ones, but we had some damage too. I've had a couple windows busted. I had my whole skirting was gone. A bunch of shingles were gone. But that was it. But how about this? Parts of Lake Charles didn't have electricity for 2 months. That's how bad it was in Lake Charles. So I had to go live at my parents' house until I was able to move back in my trailer again. And whenever I was doing storm relief work, that's right, I'm in the Cajun. I do Cajun Navy work. I had to drive an hour and a half every single day. Difference was if I was driving from Lake Charles, it would only been a 45-minute drive every day. I was driving an hour and a half for 2 straight months. It was hard, but goddamn, it was worth it because I don't like to spread business, but I made a shitload of money in 2 months from storm relief work. The government paid me a shitload of money.
Well, you know what? And I can't imagine what the Cajun Navy or the Coast Guard or the National Guard do to save lives because I imagine you've heard stories of how many Coast Guard helicopters came to New Orleans or came over here. I mean, I can't imagine came over here after Ian.
So me, my mom, and my 2 brother-in-laws did storm relief work. My mom used to work for the sheriff's office in the parish, and she was the vice president of the hurricane committee. One of my brother-in-laws, who's a doctor, he was out there on boat helping rescue people. Like, they find anybody stranded, he'd take them and work on them because he's a doctor. And then me and my other brother-in-law, we filled all the power line trucks up. I was stationed where if power line companies or whatever needed fuel, they came to us and we filled them up. I did that 12 hours a day, every day I did that for half a month, and then I got sent to do security work, watching an oil field company's land and equipment as like a night security guard. And I sat in my truck all night and played my Switch, watched Netflix or any TV on my phone. Just a sit and chill job. But like, I made a shitload of money either filling up trucks or playing security for 2 months.
I mean, and you know what? I think giving back to the good people of Louisiana would have been worth it if you ask me.
No, I did when I filled up line trucks. I did that in Texas. I went to Orange, Texas, which is the first town you enter in when you get out of Louisiana. I filled up line trucks in Orange, Texas that were all going around parts of Louisiana, like a lot. They were all going to Lake Charles, Sulphur, Cameron Parish. They were all DeRidder. They were going all across Southwest or parts of West Louisiana that had severe damage, or any parts of Southeast Texas that had severe damage from the hurricanes. And then whenever I was doing the security work, I was up there in a little small shithole town called Starks, Louisiana. That's right on the state line, right across from Deweyville, Texas. I was working up there at security.
What's the greatest distance you've need to evacuate?
Wait, what was what?
How far have you gone to evacuate, or do you usually just stay with friends, family, or do you like, I'm getting out of XYZ area?
Okay, so the first two times we evacuated as a family. Well, just me, my parents, and my siblings. Because when Lily hit in 2002, I was only 13. We evacuated to Central Louisiana. We were right around Alexandria area. We were in a country town called Buckeye, Louisiana, and that's where we evacuated for Lily. We stayed up there, I think, about 4 days. We stayed at some friends' houses. A guy my dad used to work offshore with, he became good friends with. We stayed with his family. They had a big-ass house in the country, and they offered 5 of us to go stay with them during the hurricane. So we did that. For Rita, I tell you, we went to Houma, stayed with those people. So 2008, we had two hurricanes. I don't know if you remember. We had Gustav and Ike. Ike, we stayed because Ike was just I think Ike turned into a Category 1 when it made landfall, but then it immediately dropped to a tropical storm. So we stayed for Ike. Ike was no effect for us. Ike was just a massive cold front and a lot of rain, and we stood outside and drank and enjoyed the breeze. But for Gustav, this was the furthest we've ever traveled. We evacuated to Little Rock, Arkansas. And that was a fun trip. We treated it like a vacation.
Was there for Gustav, because that was near the 3-year anniversary of Katrina, was there the fear of, holy crap, this storm's coming to Louisiana and we're going to get nailed again?
Yeah. But see, my parents were divorced by then. So I evacuated with my mom, my siblings, and another family of mine with some cousins. And my grandparents, we all evacuated together to Little Rock. And we stayed in a hotel for, I think, no more than 3 days. We treated it like a vacation. Like, we stayed at a hotel where they had ducks that walked in the lobby. That was what they were famous for. Actual little ducks walking in the aisle to the fountain. And then we went to that big ass mall in Little Rock. So we treated it like a vacation, for like a little weekend getaway. Because I remember Gustav hit on a weekend. I think it made landfall on a Friday or a Saturday. And by Labor Day, we were heading back. It happened like on a Labor Day weekend in 2008. Or the week before. I mean, I digress. Now, the last time we evacuated for both hurricanes in 2020. Laura, I had to, and the only reason we evacuated is because my dad was recovering from a stroke. At the beginning of 2020, we almost lost him. He suffered a stroke, and he was just recovering. It's been, by that time, it was in August, the hurricane hit. So it's been 7 months since his stroke. He had to be somewhere where he needed his oxygen machine plugged. He needed somewhere with electricity. So I had to play the big role of the family. I had to get him out. My mom stayed and did that's the only, I didn't come do Cajun Navy work until we got back. But right when it happened, my mom stayed around to be in charge of the hurricane committee. I evacuated him to Baton Rouge. My grandparents followed. I also evacuated my younger sibling and all the fucking dogs we had at the time. We had 2 or 3 dogs. And we evacuated them with us. We stayed in Baton Rouge a whole week in a hotel. Treated it like a fucking vacation again, even though we'd go to Baton Rouge 10,000 times. It's like, while we're worried about a hurricane, we're going to the mall and shit, like getting away. But when Delta hit, we took off to Houston, but we only stayed in Houston for 2 days. But that was the longest trip to Houston I've ever recalled, because so many people were evacuating. On a normal basis, from my house to Houston, I can get there in 2 hours and 40 minutes. That day, I had to evacuate my dad. It took us 10 hours to get to Houston.
That's about right. And the only reason it took us that long is because the route we were taking, they had a dumbass pulling a camper to try to make a U-turn, and he jackknifed and went in a ditch and blocked the whole road, and we were 2 miles behind to find out why were we stuck in dead traffic for 3 hours. Oh, because a dumbass in a camper tried to make a U-turn on a highway, and half his truck was in a ditch, and the other half of the camper was blocking a major highway. And we had to reroute a whole nother way. We were literally, the way we rerouted it, it took on a normal basis 2 extra hours to get to Houston. Oh, you might not have seen the tweets, but Hurricane Melissa's doing its own thing right now. I mean, I don't think I've seen the hurricane do what Hurricane Melissa's doing. It went like southwest, and now it's going north again. So, I think the northward turn is happening to Jamaica tonight, and hopefully Hurricane Melissa is not what we all fear will happen to all. I mean, Louisiana certainly knows what a hurricane can do. I mean, we have friends, family who've been affected. I mean, I don't know how my sister's house survived Irma, but thankfully it did. And I have a friend who went through. Well, he evacuated his home for Ida a few years ago. By the way, he said, "Bring Coach O back." And
when it
I've got
what's that?
I've got a question.
All right.
If I mean, you're still in the trailer, right?
No, I'm not in a trailer anymore. I'm in a small 1-bedroom house we own.
How new is your house?
We built this house in 2004.
Okay.
We built it. We built this house right next door to my grandparents' house for my great grandpa, my grandma's dad. When he got his leg amputated, he couldn't take care of himself. We moved him from Houma to here, and he lived in this house for 7 months until his death. And then we kind of turned it into like an apartment style out. We turned it into an outdoor kitchen at first, and then when we had people kept coming over out of town, they needed a place to stay or whatever, we kind of turned it into a house looking apartment or a house for family members to come stay by. And then when no one was coming to stay here no more, we were using it for people to ever rent it as a house. And I think only one person ever rented it until he got back with his wife. And then we turned it into like a little fucking LSU party house until I moved in it to help take care of my dad, who lives 2 blocks away from me. When I was taking care of him during his stroke. So I've been living here for about 4 years. I did move out for 6 months when I was living with my ex at her house 10 miles away. But when we broke up, I did the smart thing. I left all my shit over here in case it didn't work out. And now I'm winning.
I don't know what Louisiana's building code is. I think all building codes to withstand Cat. I think all houses built to withstand Cat 4 winds. I don't know what Louisiana's building code is, but do you think? But looking back on it, why do? I mean, I don't know if you have any friends who went through Katrina in New Orleans, but why didn't New Orleans try to get people out of the lower Ninth Ward and all those parishes that were going to get flooded when Katrina came through there? Why didn't?
Well, I'm going to try and explain this the best way I can, because before I even get started, I'm going to say that I've watched both the Katrina documentary on Disney and Netflix. And it was nearly the same story and some of the same people who did the interviews. I'm going to guess the reason why is because of multiple different things. Number one, there was a lot of people that did not want to evacuate because they almost had if you remember, there was a hurricane that in 2004 that was supposed to hit New Orleans, but it shifted to Alabama.
Ivan.
And when Katrina was coming, they all were like, "Oh, we ain't worried. It's going to do the same shit." Well, they weren't notified, I think, until 2 days before it made landfall. Like, no, according to the geniuses, the hurricane trackers at LSU, it's going to shift and it's going to hit New Orleans. Y'all need to get the fuck out of here. Well, people can be crazy. Like, oh no, we're going to ride this off. We can handle anything. We got levees. Well, the levees y'all built at the time were, y'all had 8 foot, 9 foot levees, but this was 12 foot inadequate. It was 12 feet to be exact. And now they finally built levees up to 16 feet. Some are still being built right now. But when it happened, if the levees wouldn't have broke, it wouldn't have been as bad as what people thought. Because yeah, they would. The only thing bad was they would have lost electricity and a lot of like debris and whatnot. The only reason it flooded was because the levees broke. If the levees wouldn't have broke, I guarantee you it wouldn't have been as bad as what they made it. But some of them, if the levees wouldn't have broke, I guarantee you all those wards wouldn't have flooded. They'd have just had severe damage. The flooding wouldn't have happened. The levees didn't hold. But see, when it was over, all the media was looking at downtown New Orleans, the French Quarter and whatnot. They were like, okay, they just got damaged. They wrote it, it's over. No one knew the levees broke. And within an hour, all of fucking New Orleans was underwater. When I think two or three levees broke. And the whole damn near 60% of the city was underwater.
80%, well, 80%, but that's not.
And the reason no one came and the reason they couldn't get help was because no one fucking knew about it until 2 days later. They were all focusing on downtown. It wasn't until when the National Guard was flying over and they were like, hey, y'all are underwater. Y'all know this, right? There's people on their roofs like, we need to go help these people. And the stupid fucking mayor they had at the time and the shitty fucking governor we had, Governor Blanco, which she passed away from cancer, but she was a shitty fucking governor. They were worried about the upperclassmen. They were worried about the rich people. They were not worried about the other civilians who were poor or whatnot. And you could kind of say they pulled the race card out too, because I didn't care if you were black or white. If I would have been in that situation where I had nothing, I couldn't do nothing or use nothing, but I'm going to break in a store and take what I need to survive, but they're making it look like, oh, they're stealing. Well, they're technically not stealing. Who are they stealing from? There's no one running the shit. Like, it's all literally no good anyway. Like, all the shit they were taking.
And
like they made a big deal out of that, too.
And I don't know if you saw, I think it was like a National Geographic series, but Mayor Nagin and the city of New Orleans actually came up with a plan to bus people from the lower Ninth Ward and all these parishes out of New Orleans. Well, that plan went awry for whatever reason, whether it was money, politics, or whatever. And thousands of people were trapped with no means of escaping. And yeah, some people could leave to the Superdome and the Convention Center, but the Superdome was maybe even as bad, if not, I can't believe I'm saying this, a worse mess, because because Katrina blew off the roof. There was water leaking there. The plumbing was a mess. And there were all kinds of rumors about issues that I don't really even want to discuss, but that was just an ugly mess all around by every party around. And I look at Mississippi, which saw more storm surge, but handled the hurricane better, got as many people as possible out of the storm, warn people in time. And I mean, there's nothing you can do about the hurricane, but you can prepare people and get more people out of the danger zones south of I-10. New Orleans failed to do that miserably.
And I'm gonna tell you what, if it wasn't for General Honore, New Orleans would have been more chaotic than it was until he got down there and was in charge of the National Guard and everything. Because remember, they with all the shit that was happening with them trying to survive, and they were just shooting people in the neighborhood. If it wasn't for him, it'd have been chaotic. Like, I consider him a damn hero to that city. He was more of a hero than the fucking mayor and the governor. And then the mayor's in prison now. The mayor's serving jail time after the shit during the hurricane, and then Governor Blanco died from cancer 6 years ago. Which, I mean, that's all. It's all. Cancer's not a joke anyway. I mean, as much as I hated the bitch, I do feel sorry that she had cancer, and it's sad that she lost her life to cancer. I'll say that no one should die from cancer, but She was an evil person too.
Was Blanco a first-term governor? Plus, I don't think she. I mean, plus, I don't think she was quite as well versed the situation. When you think of Haley Barbour had been in Washington, knew President Bush, and probably knew the situation more than Blanco being a new governor in Louisiana.
She was not what people say she was.
No,
She was
yeah.
crooked. Her and that stupid mayor they had were crooked as hell.
A few of yeah, you could say that again. Darn you, Kareem Hunt. Why are you getting all these touchdowns tonight? Never mind.
But all I can,
Of course, Travis Kelce got a touchdown. Yeah.
I will say, I guess you could say our two states in the South get it more than anybody else. Florida, I think, gets more of the hurricanes than anybody, and Louisiana is the second most. Because you never hear Mississippi or Alabama or Georgia getting all these hurricanes. It's either Florida or Louisiana. Honorable mention, I'll say Texas or the Carolinas.
And by the way, you know when the last time Savannah got a major hurricane? The 1800s.
Well, with the weather we're about to get now, I guess it's too early to say that we survived another hurricane season. But the fact that we're about to actually have a cold November, I guess you can go ahead and pop the champagne bottles and say we survived another hurricane season. I usually don't say it till after Halloween anyway, because when it gets cold in November, we know that it's over.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it, Hoss. We've got another month to go.
I'm gonna stay positive. As long as I don't think about it, I'll be all right. But where I work at, they do play the Weather Channel all day. But lately, all summer long, all I've been seeing is hurricanes moving to the Atlantic, moving up to like the northern states, or hell, even seeing hurricanes in the Pacific Ocean, which you don't see that a lot. It's always in the Gulf of America or the Atlantic that's getting all the hurricanes.
Yeah, and the storms...
But lately, when it's in the Gulf, it's either going hit Mexico or it's going hit all them other countries south of Mexico or the Caribbean.
Yeah, this has been a weird year where all the storms are going like north, like going more this way. I don't know if the steering currents are like somebody's steering them, but that's weird.
So the only update I got now on Melissa, and it's always a female name when it's the deadliest.
I don't know. Ian was deadly over here a couple years ago.
We thought Karen was going to be the worst hurricane this year. Turns out right now it's Melissa. And the latest update we got is maximum winds sustained at 175 miles per hour. And hurricane hunters measured a 241 mile per hour wind gust. And there's pink in the eye. When you see pink in that radar, that's terrifying.
That's not good.
No. Some meteorologist by the name of Nick Mikulus. I don't know what state that's from, unless that's a Florida guy. No, Central Louisiana. Wow, you're far away from this, but you're giving us an update. He's saying he was explaining the pink colors on a radar, saying that they indicate cloud tops below negative 80 degrees Celsius. That's negative 112 degrees Fahrenheit, which is insane. It means the storm is pretty much perfectly organized and likely has wind gusts over 200 miles per hour of the surface. Maximum sustained winds are at 175 miles, but there are much higher gusts. This will be excavated by the mountainous terrain of Jamaica. And
mountainous terrain of Jamaica. I guess you would say the one benefit. It's not going to be.
He says all he said was it's going to be a catastrophe.
Yes. I mean, I don't know if you remember when Maria hit Puerto Rico in 2017, but it might be that bad or worse. And the problem is,
I'm thinking of okay, so the one that hit like New York and New Jersey, that was what, Sydney or something? Sandy. What was the one that hit Houston? No, was that Harvey in 2017?
Yes.
I remember that because we got some heavy rain from that, but the storm was hitting Texas, and we prepared for it in case it shifted to us, because everyone thought that it was going to shift and hit Louisiana, but it stayed left and it hit Southeast Texas. But we did catch a lot of rain and minor flooding from it, but we didn't get the flooding Houston had. I think the highest level of water we got was maybe 2 or 3 feet of flooding, where they were getting like 8 to 10 feet.
And that much rainfall too.
Yeah, we had probably like 2 straight days of rain and heavy winds. But I got nothing else going on. I think I'm gonna wrap this up.
No,
So I can finish my horror movie marathon. Yeah, I got to finish my horror movie marathon. I'm almost done.
All right, Hoss. Thanks for this show.
Oh, you're welcome. And I will most likely be on open mic tomorrow night. But y'all know where y'all can find me. I'm at Big Hoss 337 on X. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram. My show On The Go that you can watch every week at 9. Usually on Wednesdays, I'm at OnTheGo_TXLA. But yeah, I'll possibly be on open mic tomorrow, because my show this week is on Wednesday, the 29th at 9 p.m.
And then, of course, you could check out my stream where I break down Hurricane Melissa, Spunky Spectrum Sports, Big D Podcast. This is Dylan and Hoss signing off. Good night.
See y'all soon.